Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating how to make the Autumn Amore Cowl, which is a free pattern you can find at mooglyblog.com. Please follow the link in the video description where you can find a link to the written pattern as well as all the supplies you need. For this pattern we use 3 colors of Red Heart Amore. Here I have Whisper, Earl Grey, and Chamomile. You'll also need 2 different sizes of crochet hooks, a USI and a USK. This pattern can make 3 sizes of cowls depending on how deep and long you like to wear your cowls. Shown here, I've made a 25-inch cowl, and that's 25 inches all the way around. There are also instructions included in the written pattern for a 33-inch cowl and a 40-inch cowl. So if you wear plus sizes, you may want one of the longer ones. If you are more petite, you may want to go with a shorter one, just whatever you prefer. This pattern is made in the round. Let me go ahead and pull this up here. You can see here that I did not cut the yarn. I just go ahead and pull it up for every round as we change colors. So you'll want to carry that along the inside of your project, and you just want to make sure that the tension's not so loose that it will get caught on things, but not so tight that it puckers your fabric. So let's go ahead and get started with this pattern. All right, to make the Autumn Amore Cowl, we're going to start from the bottom up with this small section of ribbing here, then the moss stitch, and then more ribbing. So to begin, you want to pick whatever color you're using for your ribbing. If you've made the matching hat, you might want to use whatever you used for that brim. Let me set that one aside. And we're going to begin, like I said, with whatever that color is that we want to use and a USI hook. So that's the smaller of our 2 hooks. Now round 1 of the Autumn Amore Cowl is made with foundation double crochet stitches. I do have a separate tutorial for this linked in the written pattern as well as the tutorial that's on mooglyblog.com at the link in the description. So if you're not familiar with those, you'll want to watch that video tutorial. Basically, I'm going to make foundation double crochets, and the number is going to depend on what size I'm making. If you're making the 25-inch cowl, you would want to make 100 foundation double crochets. If you're making the 33-inch cowl, you'd want 130. And if you want the 40-inch cowl, you would want 160 foundation double crochets. If you prefer not to use the foundation double crochet stitch, you can use whatever method you prefer to get that many double crochets worked in a row and then just join them at the end of the row, which is what we'll be doing with the end of our foundation double crochet row. Now, I'm not going to make another full-size cowl for the demo here today. You'd be watching me make way too many of these and way too many single crochets, so I'm just going to make a tiny little one. So I'm going to start with basically any even number, and that's a good tip too. If you want to make a custom length for this cowl, since we're making it in the round, you can really just start with any even number you like. The numbers I've given are just a good guideline to get you started for the different sizes. So I'm going to make a couple more foundation double crochets, and you make however many you want for the length of your cowl. Just make sure it's an even number, like I said, and then I will meet you when we're ready to join up row 1 or round 1 and begin round 2. Okay, so for my little swatch, I'm just going to start with 20 foundation double crochets, but again, check the written pattern to see how many you need to make for your size. Then I'm ready to join in the round. So what I want to do is, without twisting, I don't want to twist that first row, I want to bring it around here in a circle and find that first foundation double crochet I made right there, and just go ahead and join with a slip stitch, like so. Then, when you weave in your ends, you'll take that first end you left here, that little tail, and we can use that with a yarn needle to just cinch up and sew in right to the bottom of that last foundation double crochet made, and that will finish off the bottom of the cowl. So, now we're ready to begin round 2. Rounds 2 and 3 of the Autumn Amore Cowl are identical. So for both rounds 2 and 3, you're going to start with a chain 1, then a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then a front post double crochet around the next. Again, this is a stitch I have a separate tutorial for, just like the half double crochet as far as that goes, but it's very simple. You yarn over, and rather than going to the top of the stitch, you go from front to back around the post of the stitch. Pop up on the other side there, yarn over and pull up your loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Just like that. Then we half double crochet in the next stitch. We're not going to work into the top of the stitch we made our front post double crochet around. If we flip it over, you can see that those top 2 loops, that top V is hanging out right there. We don't want to work in there because we worked around the post. If we worked into both, we'd end up increasing, and we don't want to do that. Not for this pattern anyway. So we front post double crochet around the next, and then half double crochet around the next. and that is our basic repeat. So that's what you would do all the way around for both rounds 2 and 3. So half double crochet in the next, front post double crochet around the one after that. Let me pull up some more yarn here with my little leftover bits from all these projects I've been making. There we go. And then I find my next one, half double crochet, the next one, front post double crochet. We made foundation double crochets in the previous round. These are half double crochets and front post double crochets. So I'm almost all the way around. Of course, if you're making a full-size cowl, it'll take you quite a bit longer here to get around with round 2. But like I say, then round 3 is identical. Just exactly what we just did, only for the next round, since you've already made front post stitches in this round, those are the ones you'll work around for the next round. So I will see you as soon as we get to the end of round 2. Okay, so at the end of round 2, I've worked my last front post double crochet around the last double crochet of the previous row, or round, and then I'm ready to slip stitch right into the top of the first half double crochet I made. Like I said, round 3 is going to be exactly the same. We chain 1, half double crochet right into the top of that previous half double crochet, and then front post double crochet around the next front post double crochet. So again, we just go right around that post, pull up our loop, and finish like a regular double crochet. So I will see you when we get to the end of round 3. Okay, so here we are at the end of round 3, and I'm ready to just slip stitch into the top of that first half double crochet. And you can see our foundation, I keep saying foundation, our front post stitches have lined up really nicely for some ribbing there, sort of a ribbing look. Then we're ready to begin round 4. Now at this point, I'm going to pull up this loop and switch over to the bigger hook. This is the USK hook. I'm just going to put that right back in that active loop there and pull it down. And then I'm going to begin setting up our moss stitch rounds. So I'm going to chain 1, single crochet right in the top of that half double crochet. Then I'll chain 1, skip the front post stitch, and single crochet in the next half double crochet. So we chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. We're just going to continue that all the way around. So depending on how many stitches you started with, you'll have half that many single crochets and half that many chain stitches. So your single crochets plus your chain stitches should add up to however many stitches you had in your previous round. And of course, again, you can follow the written pattern, and all that is provided in the pattern. So we're continuing to work just our single crochet, chain 1, skip 1 all the way around. And there we are. When we get to the end of round 4, we end with a chain 1, skip the last stitch, and join to that first single crochet we made. Then we're ready to begin round 5, and this is going to be basically our repeat through the rest of the pattern. Okay, so beginning with round 5, we're going to start switching colors every round until we get to the last few rounds of the pattern. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert my hook in that first chain 1 space, the next one right along the row here. Then I'm going to go ahead and drop the color I've been working with and pick up the next color that I want to work with. I'll yarn over, leave a nice little tail there so I can weave it in when it's done. But I'm just going to pull that right through that chain 1 space and through the active loop, basically making a slip stitch with our new color. Tug down on those ends there so it doesn't get away from me, and then we're ready to begin our repeat again, where we chain 1, single crochet right in that chain 1 space we just slip stitched into. There we go. And then we chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next chain 1 space. On around, easy peasy, right? That's what we've been doing. Single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch, all the way around. Again, of course, you'll have a lot more to do than I do here on my tiny little swatch, but I am almost there, so if you need to pause and catch up for a minute, please do that. And then eventually here, you'll get to the end of round 5. I've got a chain 1, and there's that single crochet that we joined to at the end of the previous round. I'm going to go ahead and skip right on over that and join to the first single crochet we made in this round. And then with round 6, we're ready to pull up our next color. Okay, so to begin the next round, we're going to do the same thing. We go into that next chain 1 space, go ahead and drop the color we've been working with, pull up our next color. I'm using 3 colors. This is where our third color finally comes in here. yarn over, pull that one up and through, basically making a slip stitch there. Get our little tail out of the way. And then we start again with our repeat. Chain 1, single crochet right back in that chain 1 space, and then chain 1, skip 1, single crochet in the next chain 1 space, on around, just as we've done before. And this creates that great moss stitch pattern. When we get around to the end here, I'll want to go back to that first color I was using. It'll be its turn again. And I'm just going to continue switching colors every row, whoops, maintaining my color pattern. And you can just pull those up right along the inside of the cowl as I showed you at the beginning of the video on the inside of the finished cowl. So here we are, we've worked all the way around again. So I'll just skip over that last one we joined to last time and join to this one. And then, like I say, I can go right into that chain 1 space, drop that color, find the working end of my next color. There we are. This should be the one furthest down on the inside of the cowl. Kind of hard to see right now. As you start going, and you've got your nice big cowl, it's a little bit easier to see. But I'll just yarn over with that next color and pull it on up and through. Sort of give it a little tug back and forth. That helps it settle down so it doesn't get too tight on the inside and isn't too loose. And then we can just begin our repeat. Chain 1, single crochet into that chain 1 space, chain 1, skip the next stitch, do it again, all the way around. And we're going to do that for a total of 36 rows. So when you've made 36 rows total, that's including though those first 3 rows that we made for our ribbing, then it's time to add the last few rows, which is more ribbing essentially to top it all off. Now you can vary this absolutely if you want a narrower cowl or a shorter cowl, I guess I should say, since we're working bottom up. You can absolutely use fewer rows. You could add more rows if you want it really tall and slouchy. It's whatever you want to do. This is a very flexible pattern. We're just going to keep making rows until we've got the height we want, or like I said, if you're following the written pattern, it'll be 36 rows total. So after you've made your 36 rows around, then it's time to go ahead and begin the last few rounds of our finishing. I keep calling it a brim, but the little edging there that goes at the top of our cowl. So I'm going to go ahead and make, I think, one more round here with our moss stitch, and then I will demo how to do those last few rounds of the cowl. Okay, so let's pretend we've made all 36 rows of our pattern so far and we're ready to begin round 37. I went ahead and cut the other colors of my yarn, which are actually the white and the darker gray, because I'm going to use that medium gray, the first one I used here in the middle, the Earl Grey, to finish off my pattern as well. So I went ahead and cut those other ends just to get them out of the way. I don't need them anymore. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull this last slip stitch out, the very last slip stitch I made of the previous round. So let me pull that one back out here. And that was the one that just joined it at the end. Because what I want to do now is slip stitch using our next color. So the color we're going to finish off our pattern with, that's the one I want to pull through to finish off that slip stitch join, like so. Then I'm going to go ahead and pull that loop up, get rid of that K hook, and switch back to my smaller I hook. Now the reason, I haven't mentioned this in any of the previous videos for these moss stitch patterns in the series, the reason we switched to an I hook for this little brim section is because the moss stitch with those with those chains in between isn't quite as wide as actually, say, if you had 3 single crochets, that would be a little bit wider than a single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. So we switch hooks in order to keep this section the same width. If we use the same hook size, we could end up with quite a bit of flare because these stitches, this stitch pattern just turns out to be wider. So that's why we're switching over, in case you were curious, to a smaller hook. Now we're ready to begin round 37. So we chain 1, and then we begin our repeat. We're going to half double crochet in each single crochet, like so, and then double crochet right in each chain 1 space. So half double crochet in the single crochet, double crochet in the chain 1 space. And that is our repeat on around for round 37. So I will see you when we get to the end of round 37. All right, so to finish off round 37, we're just going to slip stitch right in the top of that first half double crochet we made, like so. And then we finish round 37. Now rounds 38 and 39 are going to be both familiar and again completely identical. We're going to start with a chain 1, then a half double crochet in the first stitch, and then a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So that should be our double crochet from the previous round. So we can go right around that post pretty easily. Make our front post double crochet, then half double crochet in the next. And then front post double crochet around the next one. So we're going to do this for both rounds 38 and 39. Of course, join at the end of every round, and then at the end of round 39, you can break your yarn and weave in your ends. Easy peasy. And the great thing is, like I said, you should only have 6 ends to weave in when you are all done. It's one of my favorite things about this pattern. You can make the cowl in any size with just 3 balls. That's one of each color. Oops. Did I do that right? Yes, I did that. Do that in the right spot. There we go. So you can just use 3 balls of each color, and depending on what size you make and what size, if you've made the hat or if you've tried the scarf, you may be able to even get a hat and a cowl out of those 3 balls. It just sort of depends on what sizes you're making. As I mentioned, there's matching hats. There are matching scarves. If you prefer a straight scarf, you don't like the cowl look, or maybe you want to make a cowl for yourself and a scarf for your husband or a loved one, you can absolutely go check that out. The video tutorial for that one is up, as well as the hats, and the mittens will be coming very soon. Oops. There we go. We're almost all the way around here for row 38. There we go. So I would just go ahead and join there to that first half double crochet of this round. Oops, there we go. And then repeat that previous row again so that we get a matching, there we are. So we get a matching, I keep calling them brims, but a matching sort of beginning and ending section for the cowl. So when we look at the finished one again here, you can see we had our beginning little brim type section, our ribbing, then our moss stitch rows, and then finally the last few rows of edging. And of course, again, you'll want both a US K hook and I hook for this, and Red Heart Amore. So I hope you'll check it out. I hope this video helped you make your own cowl. If you did, if you liked it, please give us a like. Let us know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And again, please go to the link in the description where you'll find everything you need, as well as the written pattern, the matching patterns in this set, and if it's still October 2018, some great giveaways you won't want to miss. Thanks so much for watching.